Well, blessings, everybody, and welcome to the beginning of a new course. This is course number 6 in the Kings and Prophets series. It's entitled Prepare to Meet Your God, and it's actually a study out of the book of Amos. Amos is I believe it's 9 chapters long, and so this is lesson 1, video 1. It's always an exciting time at the beginning of a course. This is a very brief course as far as the local precept classes. I believe it's only 3 weeks long. But we'll take a little more time. As you know, all these videos, I try to keep them short where we can just grab the basic foundation of a thought for the day and meditate upon it all day. So the question is this: are you, as the title implies, are you prepared to meet your God? That's probably the most famous verse out of the book, and we'll get to it soon. But there's some tremendous insight and revelation awaiting us. So I really encourage you to read, study, meditate upon it, and seek the Lord. Read the scripture passages that were at the beginning. Right there they are. I'll back up. See, Amos 1:1 and chapter 7, verses 14 through 15. Read those, think about them for a little bit, and then come back. So here's what we see. We're introduced to Amos. We find out that these are the words of Amos. It's the word of the Lord released through Amos. And in the first verse, we find out quite a bit. As a matter of fact, this is one of the most succinct explanations of who the writer is and who the prophet is, or in this case, who the individual was. Now watch this. We find out that Amos was a sheep herder from Tekoa. And he's a sheep herder not in the traditional Davidic sense of a sheep herder. It's a different Hebrew word. And when you combine this with what we learned in just a minute over in the 7th chapter, you find out that he was a businessman, probably somebody that had herds of sheep, or started out as a sheep herder, but now he's expanded. But not only sheep, but he has figs. And these aren't figs exactly in the sense that we understand figs. It was a different fruit. It grew up to a rather large bush, and it had to be groomed a particular kind of way. I believe they cut it or pierced it to where it would mature the way they wanted it. But this fruit grew at a lower altitude than where Tekoa was. Tekoa was at a higher elevation, and Tekoa was south of Jerusalem. You can actually see from Jerusalem all the way up to the Mount of Olives. I mean, from Tekoa to the Mount of Olives, some 10 or 12 miles. But the fruit grew at a lower altitude, and it was about 10 miles away also. And you say, well, what point is all that? Well, what we see here is that Amos was a man that really has some diverse agrarian business interests. Okay, he was a business guy. So he was just a guy that was going about his life. But a word of the Lord appeared to Amos, and he called it, he envisioned it in visions. And it concerned Israel. Now, as we'll see very quickly, there were other nations that were involved with this, but the primary concern was Israel, particularly the northern kingdom of Israel. There's also a rather precise timing that Amos gives us right here. He says it's in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. He said it's in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, the king of Israel. And then he says this: it was 2 years before the earthquake. That's an interesting phrase, because we know historically there was a major earthquake that occurred. Josephus actually says that the earthquake occurred when Uzziah went in to offer a sacrifice that he shouldn't have offered. But we don't see that in the word. I'm just telling you that's what Josephus says. What I find intriguing about it is that it says 2 years before the earthquake. And so he received this word. Apparently Amos goes out and he proclaims it throughout. And a couple of years later, an earthquake occurs. And now he's writing it down. So it gives us some insight that the writing here occurred at some time past when he actually received the word. So Amos states in chapter 7, he says, I'm not a prophet, nor the son of a prophet, but the Lord took me from following the flock, and he said to me. So here's what I want us to understand today: that the Lord speaks through whom he chooses. You know, quite often we think, it has to be somebody who's a priest, or somebody that's had training, or somebody that's a prophet. And Amos had none of that. He was simply obedient, and he was willing. And that's what we need to face. Are we willing? Are we willing to listen to the Lord? And then are we going to be faithful and obedient to that which he releases in our life, to speak forth and to prophesy? Again, I'm Dale from the Precept classes in Cullman, Alabama, and I thank you for starting with us. So press on, stay with us, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.